Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics pre-lockout chat ahead of round 3. I'm your host, Bales, and you can find me at BAILSDT across the socials. And for those listening back on the pod, it is Friday, the 28th of March, and we are less than a couple hours away from the second game of round 3 getting underway. Joining me is a couple of special guests tonight with Tim and Jordox unavailable with other commitments, obviously, with their families and stuff like that. But joining me, he joined us on Tuesday, so he's on double duty for us this week. It is Jordy DeCino. Jordy, mate, how are you?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me on twice in a week. I think I've locked my trades in, but it'll be good to chat.
Yeah, beautiful, mate. And jumping on as well is another man that's going very, very well. Jumped on last week, so we got him back again. I believe he was 13th, if I'm not mistaken, at the end of round 2. It is James, coach of Shuckers. James, mate, good to have you back on. How are you?
Good, Bales. Nice to talk some fantasy. See what it comes about.
Yeah. So 13th, am I correct in saying that you were 13th after round 2?
Yeah, I was 13th. So good rank so far. Moved up from round 1, which was surprising, but definitely we'll take it. You know, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy to be, around the mark. At this point of year, it's always a good sign. Just got to make sure you stick to the philosophies and should hopefully have another good year.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Hopefully you and me and Geordie, all of us together, hopefully we can all have a good year. But we did have a game of footy last night, which we'll touch on a lot more on Sunday night. But Geordie, just from your own team's perspective last night, who did you have play last night? What were some scores? I know, obviously, being a Port fan, not the best result, but fantasy-wise, how'd you go?
Yeah, I had obviously the two Essendon boys, Reed and Pryor, which they were unreal. So that's good to have them on field. They'll probably count with best 18. We'll see what happens because they're pretty decent scores. I know last week we had some of those 60s and stuff. I might have sneaked in a Davidson 60 or something in the best 18. So we'll see how we go with Reed and Pryor. But yeah, the Port boys were disappointing. Had Rosie there, VC, and Horn Francis. So, yeah, I've used up my VC now. So, not great. Obviously, Crows went nuts on Essendon the week before. Dawson Crouch and the like did some scores. So, I bought into the Rosie VC. But anyway, he did have a 44-point last quarter. So, at least he saved himself a little bit there. But that's what I had last night.
Yeah, at least they saved themselves, that's for sure. But yeah, not great watching when both had the exact same stat line at halftime, which was quite shocking and also quite funny at the same time. Because all we could do was laugh. Because if we didn't laugh, we'd cry. So, but James, who'd you have last night? Anyone from those games?
Just Connor Rosie, and then I'll be looping on the nice little 83 from Zachy Reid, which is helpful. So just those two. Just a nice slow start to the week, but nothing too drastic. I'm pretty happy with the start.
Yeah,
he hasn't got Horn Francis.
I was going to say, doesn't have the horn bag, so I'd be pretty happy with that. It's certainly good to watch Port games without having that guy on your team because he has been shocking to start the year. Just for me, just Rosie, Horn Francis, and looping on Zach Reed's 83 there, so that'll be nice. If Stuart were to be laid out, then I'd only have 21 on field because trainer will play beforehand, so that'll be very interesting. But he has flown up, Tom Stewart and Bailey Smith. That's the one bit of news. They've both flown up, so they'll play. I can't see a world where they don't play. They wouldn't fly up if they're not going to play. So I think they're both right. And Chris Scott did say that Bailey Smith was pretty much a lock. So whether we take that as his word as gospel, then we'll have to see. But boys, we've got another 7 games. This weekend to go through. Obviously with the Collingwood and Sydney both on bye. We'll go through our quick trade, sort of what we're plans we're thinking, then we'll answer all your questions. So if you guys are watching, tuning in live, then leave your questions in the live chat. We'll get to as many as we can before we do wrap up. So, James, I'll start with you. What you obviously said before pre-pod that you're still sort of working through your trades and stuff. What are you currently thinking of at the moment?
At the moment, I'm looking at Perryman up to a Sinclair and a Camperreale to a Closey, but I'm not 100% sure on these trades yet.
Yeah. No, beautiful. Geordie, what are you looking at doing with your moves?
Yeah, so I've got most of the rooks. My two problems are Ollie Hollands and Will Day. So I'm looking at, I've got Lindsay on the bench. So I'm looking at doing Hollands to Max Hall. I think he's probably the best one there that I haven't got. He's got the mid forward. So I've got Garcia at F6. So I feel like getting Hall in will give me flexibility if I want to trade out Garcia next week. We'll see how he goes. So I've currently got Hollands to Hall. And then this is where I'd be good to chat about, but I've currently got Will Day to Tom Green. Hasn't got the best matchup this week against the Hawks. It's probably one of the lowest ones, but after that, he does have West Coast St Kilda. So he's got a couple good games, but I'm sort of looking in that price range of in that Tom Green area. I could also go to like a Noah Anderson, who's got a pretty good run. He's got Melbourne, Crows, North, and Richmond. I'm just looking for someone there that might be a top 8, but also someone that sort of is going to start that next run and the other teams don't have. Sort of looking for a bit of a pod.
Yep. Yeah, don't mind it. A few of them obviously don't know exactly what the price stat figure of that $1 million mark is now. It was I think over 100 now, but it might have jumped up a bit. James, where any favourites there above that $1 million marker?
In the midfield?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Tom Green a lot. And I like Noah Anderson a lot too. They're two I've had my eye on, probably the two. If I was going to split them, I would go Tom Green just because I think he's slightly cheaper, isn't he, Geordie?
He is, yes. He's slightly cheaper. And that's my thing. He's done 110 before, whereas Noah Anderson hasn't. So we're sort of banking on a bit of upside, captaincy. I think he can do it, but like, can he do that, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually very bullish on Noah Anderson. I do think he's a top 8 pretty comfortably this year. But in saying that, I actually don't know what they're both priced at. But if it's 5 points, I'd definitely go Tom Green.
About 50k difference, I think, 1.07 to 1.02, I reckon. So I don't know what the priced at is, but it'd be they're both obviously priced over 100. So yeah, maybe you go the cheap one. Maybe that 50k could come in handy moving forward, I reckon. So
I'll just have a look at it. Green's at price at 105.
Is that 105 now? Wow, that's
annoying.
Is that right? And then it says Anderson 110. I think this is using Selby's thing.
But they have, but the price stat has jumped up though from the start of the season with the high magic number and everything. So that probably seems about right. They're probably not because Tom Green was priced at essentially 100 to start the year, so he's jumped up sort of 5 points without really playing.
But he also had the double price rise.
No, Tom Green didn't play.
Oh, true.
He missed. He's gone down 1k.
Mm.
And gone up 6 points.
I don't mind as a pod though to go for one of those. I still almost like the areas of the Petrarcas and the Tom Powells and even your Finn Callan a bit cheaper, and then you can use that money. But I guess the one quick thing we'll touch on sort of for next week is that I think a lot of people, barring any carnage, obviously me and James are chatting about this pre-pod as well, but barring any carnage, is that people may be looking for a double downgrade or 2 rookie shuffles next week in Marias, who was fantastic with 93, looks a fantastic player for Port moving forward. And Riley Bice, if he's named and not the sub, then that's probably 2 rookies we're going to want. So maybe holding cash for next week isn't the play. Maybe it's maybe using that cash this week and getting a Tom Green instead of one of those guys is the play. And as you say, it's a bit of a pod. Another captain option as well that not many people are going to be able to go to and got some good matchups. So going to be very, very interesting to see where you go, Geordie. My trades as well, I had 370k in the bank heading into the round. So I've done Perryman to Sinclair and Will Day to Isaac Rankin. I don't know if anyone's got a price projector for me because I'm probably going to be within 10k of going Hasty to Marias and Camperelli to Bice. And maybe that 12k save to getting a siren might be the difference. So if someone can tell me what Marias's price will be next week, that might be able to help with trades. But one of the Saints guys coming in, and Rankin will come in for Will Day. Just think Rankin being a top 6, put Sanders into the midfield. Even though I've got Bailey Smith there this week, so he plays later. Then I'll be able to trade him to another position. So Joy, don't know if you've got it there for us.
Yeah, I do. So Selby's thing. So putting in 93 for Marias, it says you'll go to 335k. That's going to go up 75k, 335, and his break even would be minus 27.
Yeah, so he's probably got to come into 335. Foster Camperelli up. That's 26k, and then Hasty up 26. Oh, I might be able to actually do Sinclair. Oh, no, I'll figure it out, but I might have to go in the side just so I can do the potential rookie shuffle. But we are looking too far ahead. That's just me looking too far ahead. But anyway, let's get stuck back into this week. So we'll quickly chat captains as well before we get to list the questions, because I'm sure people might be asking some captains. So my top 10 for this week, I'll whiz through them, but there is the little longer video version of this, about 20 minutes. If you want to have more of a deep dive, then check that out. But number one this week, I've got Jack Macrae, Richmond. Great matchup, 153 last week for Macrae. And, I expect him to go big once again. Jordan Dawson at 2. Great history against North Melbourne. 4 scores over 120 in all of his last 4, including a game where he rested. Back at home, good record. Will Phillips could go to him, but I don't think he'll be able to stop a guy like Jordan Dawson. I had Connor Rosie at 3. So that was very unfortunate. He couldn't get the score, but I did see that he had a very, very good history against Essendon. 4 of his last 5 were over 113, and unfortunately wasn't able to replicate that. Ryan Marshall at 4 has a great history against Richmond. Richmond give up points. He went 136, 140 against them last year. So I think Marshall is back, and I think he's a good option for captain. Number 5 and number 6 were very close, but I went TDK. Good matchup against English. 132, 107 to start the year, and even scored a 90 against the Dogs last year, sharing the ruck with Pitney. So he was good. Number 6, Josh Dunkley, got the Cats in the wet, so I expect plenty of tackles here and him to put up a pretty good score. So if you've got him, he could be an option for you. Noah Anderson at 7, got Melbourne. Hang on, someone.
Sorry, that was
double
me.
voice there. That's all good. Noah Anderson, 118, 132 in his last 2 games against Melbourne, and MCG captain. This will be a good test to see if he can really score well away from him, which I think he can. Tristan Cherry at 8. Just the 83 against Rob last year, but he's better than actually played Rob earlier in the season last year. Scored 90 against Gawn. I think that's his floor. I think he'll be able to go well over 100 this week. Caleb Sarong at 9. Got the Eagles. Plays well in the Western Derby, so I expect him to go well. And Jack Sinclair rounds out my top 10, bumping out Nasaya just for the ceiling of Jack Sinclair. I think he could get it done. So I'll start with mine. I'm going, following my top 10, I'm going VC, Jack Macrae, into Jordan Dawson on the Sunday. Geordie, obviously you said you had the VC on Rosie. So who are you looking at going with your captain?
Yeah, I've got it on Macrae at the moment. I don't want to miss out on a big score there. I just feel like, I probably should just go there. It would have been nice if I VC'd, but anyway. Tom De Koning, I really like as well. I just feel like English gives up points. So those would be the 2, but it's currently on Macrae.
Yeah, I like it. James, what are you looking at doing?
Yeah, Macrae into Dawson at the moment for me. Yeah.
Beautiful. No, I love it. Cool. Let's get to these questions. So as I said, keep flying the questions through in the live chat, and we'll get to hopefully all of them, but as many as we can before we wrap up, because I'll be doing the watch song straight after this. So make sure you guys head over there as well if you want to watch another watch long, hopefully with some better scores than what we normally see during these watch longs. But Vanessa's got the first question. Hey guys, going Perryman to Nevitt and Hugo Garcia to Jack Graham. Thoughts? Already have Rankin and other high-priced forwards. So, Geordie, what do you think with that? Perryman to Nevitt, Garcia to Jack Graham. What are your thoughts on Jack Graham as an option?
I mean, it's a bit of a pod, isn't it? I'm sort of staying away from these guys. I don't mind it. What did he do for round 1? I think he did 97, and he's coming off an injury, isn't he? So,
yeah,
not sure what that was, but that would be a slight concern. Yeah, hip. But I guess if that's like, there's not too many forward options really. If she's got the other options there, I don't mind it. Like if he goes another 90 this week, then he's probably going to be on our radars next week, isn't he? After coming up to 2 90s. I do like the Nevitt move. I think, for the option you probably do it, but just in my case, I'm sort of leaving that F6 spot at the moment to a rookie. And I'm trying to do other things in my team, like in the midfield, trying to go to a Tom Green or Noah, or the defense, just because we might get guys like Levi as a forward, or if you've got Layla as a forward. That's just what I'm doing. But yeah, I mean, he looked good. He had the role. So yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that as well. Actually, yeah, with Levi and Sam Lawler, probably will likely to get forward stays at this stage. I think Levi probably more locked in than what Lawler will be, just because Lawler might play a fair bit in midfield the next few weeks. But is that what you're thinking, Geordie? Leaving that F6, maybe even F5 spot available, just to be able to chuck Levi in, and maybe then instead of grabbing your Jack Grahams and guys that were not, I guess, comfortable and sort of confident in, and you'd rather get one of these midfielders in. Maybe if you've got cash, Nick Dacos around round 6 is looking pretty enticing to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's just sort of what I'm looking at. We've sort of got this week and next week where we can hide behind the best 18, and then gather rounds is when you want to have, you pretty much want your team as best as it can be. And I think you probably want a maximum of one defender rookie and a maximum of one forward rookie. We won't have like a Levi for round 5. So you are a little bit strapped there where, at the moment I've got Guesty or Davidson, which I might have to run for a week there. But it also depends what presents. So I don't mind it as an option. If you've got other things in your team that are, you're happy with, like, I guess, he's probably not going to be a top 6 forward, but he did do a 97. So I don't know. I'll just look at other areas. But if you've got it, then you could take a punt on it, I guess.
Yep. Fast break frenzy's got this one, James. Trading Callaghan or Tom Powell and start Ash or Fraser. So we'll go with the first one. Callaghan or Powell?
I mean, I'm probably a little bit biased, but I chose Powell. I started with Powell at the start of the year. I think Powell's priced at 89, Callaghan's at 86. I actually project Powell to outscore Callaghan on average anyway. So that's a pretty comfortably. Like I'd have Powell around that 103 to 106 mark, and then Callaghan I've probably got around the 93, 94 mark. So I think for me it's a no-brainer. But I know there's a lot of people that disagree with me, and I could be wrong. But Powell comfortably for me.
Yeah, I like Powell as well. I think he's the more, I guess, natural fantasy scorer. Like he can get those marks and tackles, whereas Callaghan could have 30 touches, 1 mark, 2 tackles, make you go and get like an 89 or whatever. So that's the only concern for me. But I guess if that 30K difference between the two is the difference between getting like a Bailey Dale or an Nasai Wangani Miller, for example, just throwing up 2 names out, I'd rather go Nasai and then I'd be happy to go Callaghan. But you could go the other way as well. But yeah, I think Tom Powell out of the 2. And then start Ash or Fraser.
Ash or Fraser. Depends what's happening on the other end of it, because you'd think Ash is probably going to score more down at UTAS. But like if it's not a trade or if it's purely just who's starting, if there's not a way you can loop tonight, I'd back in Ash down at UTAS. Yeah.
If you can chuck the E on a Fraser, then yeah, I'd definitely be doing that and then see what they can score. But maybe they might not be able to. Damon Snell, would you tick off Hollins and Day for Dawson and Max Hall, Geordie? What are your thoughts about? I think Max Hall we're all ticking off, and I think we like the 1 up, 1 down. But John Dawson, he's priced at, I think, like 116 or something like that. He's priced pretty high. Are you happy to pay up for someone like him now, or are you just maybe trying to find maybe the Tom Greens or the Noah Andersons, maybe the guy that might be able to go on the run next?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the same trades as what I'm doing. And I've got enough money that I could actually go Dawson. I just think that he's obviously a gun. I'm just trying to get on the next guy. Like, there's probably an extra 100 points there that we've missed, all those big ones that he's, there's people talking about Brayshaw and Dawson, and, Dawson's beaten Brayshaw by 50 points per week. So we're not really going to get that back. So you could definitely go Dawson. But yeah, I'm ranked 9,000. So I'm going to try Tom Green or a Noah. So maybe depending on your rank, I think Dawson's the safer play. The other thing with Dawson is he does play the Sunday. So, if you got McRae, you could VC into a Dawson. Like, I don't know. I don't have anything like that. Like McRae is like sort of my last guy. So I'm just straight seeing him. And that's why I went Rosie VC. But I tick the trades off. They're the trades that pretty much I'm doing. I'm going to Hall for Hollins. I'm going Day up. But yeah, I'm just trying to get on the next guy because you're not going to get, you can't get those points back that Dawson's already given up. But he's probably going to go at 115 this year. So yeah.
There's still 20 rounds left, though. If you're just missing for 2, it's not too bad.
True.
Exactly. But yeah, and this is probably a hot take, but I wouldn't be trading into him this week. But I dare say next week, I wouldn't be shocked if we're talking about Andrew Brayshaw being a guy that's dropped in price and a trade target, because he's got West Coast, and I think he's got a couple of good games. He's got Richmond in there as well. Well, I'm keeping a pretty close eye on Brayshaw. Tick over 1 million. I think that he is a guy that we're going to be targeting. He's had a slow start, but someone I'm still watching. But Dan, I think we tick them off. But yeah, if you're happy to pay up for Dawson, then yeah, go for it. John Nichols has got this one, James. Day out if it means getting Sinclair, otherwise it's a Bowie type for Hollands. This is a good question. A lot of people have been asking this week. Is obviously Hollands is probably the guy you don't want to hold longer than a day. But if going day out gets you the better defender over a Bowie type, are you ticking that off?
Yeah, I am. Again, like my whole pre-season, like I've not been on day at all. I didn't buy into his 129 he had. It's the same. That him and Callahan remind me of like the exact same player. They are unbelievable footballers. They create so much for their team, but they just don't have, the piggery in them that you need, is the way I see it. So you've got the bye coming up as well, and that's almost like tipping the scales completely over for me. Like, if he had a good matchup this week, and then, you got a couple of tags coming, I'd probably just say hold through it, then get on his nice run. But with the bye, like a big tag, the bye, it just seems like
Another
a no-brainer to get into that top 6 defender. And the other thing is as well with Bowie, you've got Stephen May coming back in. Like, I'm pretty sure Bowie's going to lose a fair bit of points off that as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think he'll be okay still, but yeah, I agree. I think the kick-ins he'll lose a few of. Salen's playing well, so he wasn't playing this well back in the last year, and when May was in, so that'll be one thing to note. But asking about Sinclair, though, I know that you've already gotten a site and you're looking at bringing in Sinclair, James, but if you had to pick between the two, who are you picking? Because I've struggled with this all week. I think it's honestly a flip of the coin, and both you're going to probably almost want at some point. You're going to have both, which would be fantastic. But if you had to pick one, who are you picking?
Oh, this is easily Wanganeen Miller for me. I don't like the Sinclair pick at all. I'm just doing it for whatever reason, because I don't know why.
What a great situation to be in. I'm just bringing Sinclair in because I just want him.
No, it's like I really wanted to buy Whitfield, because I just got a feeling he's dropping a 130 down at UTAS, and then he's got a beautiful run after that. But, on Monday, I was like, screw it, I'm bringing him in. And then, throughout the week, I'm like, nah, you can't pay 115 for a guy at this point of the year. So, I've ended up bringing in Sinclair. But I just feel with McRae addition to that team, Wanganeen Miller are taking a fair bit of a jump this year
more
in importance to St Kilda. Like, Sinclair's going to lose disposals, and that's really going to affect him. Like, he had a 114 against Richmond. Sorry, against, who was it last week? Geelong. But he also had 6 tackles. Like, he would not be averaging, 4 tackles a game. So he had 20 disposals in round 1 and then 25, where we're used to seeing the average 28 to 30. So that's why I'm not crazy about the Sinclair pick. I'm just bringing it in, but I got a feeling I'm going to be wrong and regret it. But, that's just my take.
And I don't know who said it. Someone said on a pod somewhere, but they're saying as well the thing that Nasai's doing well is she's taking some of these intercept marks as well, like just floating off a man and grabbing these intercept marks, which is also another little thing. I've been on Sinclair out of the two, just like 51-49, like razor close, but I'm almost thinking that 12K save from me is going to be massively important to get Marias and Bice from 2 red dots. So I might actually that might make a decision for me and make it be a lot easier. But I like both. I feel like Sinclair's got the high ceiling, but you'd almost argue that Nasai's maybe got the high floor, and maybe Nasai gets some more of those ceiling scores, because I thought he was fantastic against Geelong, and I was pretty shocked when he was only on 101. So maybe non-owners are lucky that he hasn't gone 120 yet, because maybe it's this weekend. So who knows? But Geordie, because it's a big pick. All right.
Sorry, Geordie, can I ask you a question? Do you think
Yeah.
my analysis of the Sinclair situation is just so far wrong? Because I know it's so out there. Like, yeah, I haven't heard anyone talk about Sinclair being a bad pick, and that's probably why I'm bringing him in. I'm just going with the crowd a little bit, but that's just what I feel.
And then Geordie answer that, and Geordie answer that, and then talk about who you'd pick. I want to know who you pick out of the two.
Well, I mean, I started Wangini Malera, so I'll choose him, and he's a bit cheaper. But you're probably like the Sinclair thing. Like McRae is taking points. You're right, and like I was just looking at the CBAs, and like I mean, Sinclair doesn't need CBAs, but he obviously had none on the weekend. 23. Like is also with the Sinclair, he did come off a calf, right? Is there any concerns that you're trading in a guy that? No, it wasn't a calf. It was a hamstring. Is there any concerns that, like, I don't know, we're trading, he should be fine, but, like, there's, like, what if, I don't know, I guess there's always that slight injury thing of, like, he's coming back from an injury. Like, does that catch up with you after a couple of weeks? Like, sometimes. I don't know. I still like, I play Supercoach as well. I'm trading in Sinclair, but he's a great contested, like, he's a good in Supercoach. And, I don't know. I think he's still going to be good. I think, like you said, Bales, I think Wangini Malera, I would probably I started him, James started him, have him ahead. But I still think Sinclair's going to be a good pick. Like, still going to average 100. Is sort of where I see it.
I reckon, sorry, Bales, I reckon he's going to average 97. And that's why I think he's a bad pick. Like, but, I'm happy to be proven wrong and he'd do 102, 103.
Well, I guess you're priced at 105 and Nasai's 104. So, but I guess, James, you're bringing him in and you're thinking, well, I think worst case he's going 97, but if he goes more than that, goes like 104, 105, then you're like, well, happy days, I've got him. So,
no, my worst case is like 93. I just think he's doing 97.
Okay, fair enough. I think he goes over 100 again. He's done it for how many years? I think that he will continue to do it. Saints will have a lot of the ball back there. But, yeah, I think maybe that Sinclair's got the ceiling, but maybe Nasai's had the full preseason. He's going to improve even more. Maybe he edges ahead of Nasai. So I've turned back to Nasai, but I've flip-flopped so much this week. But it's a tough call. I'd say to whoever's tossing this question up, because there's a few people asking it in the chat here, and people have asked me this week. If you're looking at either or, pick the one you like the most and go with that, because I think both are going to be solid enough picks in the end anyway. So, and if that 12K makes a difference, then maybe you're going to decipher the bit cheaper there. Next question, Corey Blackledge. Geordie's got Zorko, Whitfield, or Nasai for Perryman. So, are you still? So obviously the price difference between Nasai and Whitfield, Zorko is a bit cheaper. It's about 100 odd K between the two. Zorko's playing in the monsoon. We assume this week. I felt that game was always destined to be played in wet weather. Like Cyclone Alfred delayed it, and we got it in round 3, and it's still bad conditions. But him, Whitfield, or Nasai for Perryman?
So I'm going to go. I think you should need to go with your gut on it, because like they're all unreal picks, and I've heard all week different points. I think talking to Tommy Hales, who came second last year on Tuesday night, he said, like, Sinclair, Wangini, Malera areas, he, at this point of the year, he wouldn't pay up for anyone over that, just because that's just what he's looking at. That's his maximum, and he was always looking at the guys below that. So Zorko and Whitfield are above that. James has sort of said that as well. Can he pay up for Whitfield, even though he's probably going to drop a 130 maybe? But, yeah, I mean, the other thing is, like, I think I said it Tuesday was, like, I don't know, if you haven't really got a captain option, like, these guys could potentially be a captain option where you could pay up. I think I'm going to stick with you probably don't want to pay up, but I'm not going to talk anyone out of going those other guys. I'll go with was it Sinclair as one of the three?
And Nasai.
I'll go with Nasai, but I'm not going to, I think, Zorko and, like, Brisbane have got that unreal run from now until, like, round 7. So,
Yeah.
I'm
the side of the 3, and probably a bit more of a hot take. I think a lot more people are going Zorko. I'm Whitfield over Zorko. I think it's the safer pick out of the 3. If we know Zorko, he's 36. He didn't have an injury last year, but who knows? What if something were to happen? It's a wet game this week. Whitfield's got the better matchup down at UTAS. Zorko's got a great run as well, but I think Whitfield's also got a pretty decent run. That's not Zorko's is better, but Whitfield I don't think is that far off. He's got some good games in there. So for me, I think Whitfield is the pick if your gut's telling you that. But I'm the sire. I'm saving the 100K, and that 100K might be able to get you a red dot to a Bice or Mariah next week if you even just get the one, or if you get two of these rookies. So I'm the sire there. Matt's got this one. Hey boys, does Day go out of but who out of Rankin, Powell, and Petrarca, James? So if you had to rank those three, obviously Rankin being the forward, and then Powell and Petrarca the mids, how would you rank those three in terms of who you go Day to?
Rankin, Powell, Petrarca. That's the order I'd go.
Yep,
Rankin just because of the forward status, and there's a high likelihood he's going to be a top six.
Gives a bit of flexibility as well.
Yeah, and the price is the best as well. So, I'm pretty happy to lock that one away, put it in there, and don't worry about it for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
till he gets suspended.
I'm ranking first. I'm tossing up Powell or Petrarca. That's the interesting one. I might have Powell just because he's just slightly cheap, but again, I've had Petrarca at times ahead of Powell this week, but I'm not sure. Geordie, how would you rank those three? You still got Rankin on top, agreeing with us?
Yeah, I think so, because Carl round 5, you want those 5 forwards pretty much. Although James doesn't have Horn Francis, so I'm interested to see what he's going to do when it comes gather round. But yeah, I think Rankin for sure to fill that forward line out, and then Powell and Petrarca. Yep. Same.
Yeah. Angus McGregor, Hall or Bice this week, and then Mariah next week. So, Jordan, I'll go to you, obviously being the port man for Mariah. Obviously, I think we're in agreement that he's going to be he will be the most traded player next week. The minus 20-odd break-in you will have, and I think he's probably a very, very good option. Are you happy to go Bice this week, even though he's not playing, so you don't have to do 2 rookie shuffles, or would you rather get Hall this week, and then you're happy to go get Bice and Mariah next week, and then move forward? And obviously, this is granted. We don't get carnage this week. We don't get forced trades, and everything goes smoothly, which in fantasy, we know that it doesn't go smoothly. So something's going to happen. But who would you go this week, Hall or Bice?
I think you go Hall only because I was listening to Lemon on this week, and this is a question that came up about Bice as well. And obviously, Bice is a great option, and he should hold his spot, but it is that 1 week away. I understand that we don't know what's going to happen with team sheets. I'm pretty confident Bice will hold, but Hall should go up. I think we're looking at it. If he gets a 50, he'll go up 50K. So I think it's Hall, and then what I'm personally doing is getting Hall this week, and then next week I'll look at Bice and Moraes as a double maybe. But like you said, who knows if we get carnage? That's just where I sit with it.
Yeah,
Hall,
I agree with that as well. I'd be getting Max Hall over Bice. I can't remember if it was Ned Reeves. And a fair few years ago as a rookie that in his bye, he got injured in the bye and then didn't play. And I'm not saying Bias is going to get injured, but who knows what happens in a week when he's not playing. A week's a long time in fantasy, and a week's a long time for anything to happen. So, I'd be going Hall and hoping Bias is named. And I'm pretty sure if I think Sydney may even have they play Saturday night next week. They play before Port as well. So we have to actually have a look and see if Bias is playing before. So I'll be getting Hall this week. Eliza's got this one, James. I can't get Perryman to Nasai and Hollins to Never. Only with 7K for next week. Should I trade Day instead? So I think we had a question on this before. If that gets you Nasai, you're trading Day to Never and then Perryman to Nasai?
Yeah, I think so. It's probably a bit more aggressive. And it's a little maybe dependent on what the rest of your team looks like as well, but pretty comfortable with that answer.
Yeah, I'm in agreement as well. You get because if you're not getting the Sai, you're probably getting someone you're not really happy with. Even though I thought Farrell was a solid pick last night, we just see with these guys that aren't quite these premium defenders or whatever, they can drop these poorer scores. And I thought Farrell got a bit unlucky last night. Got a cop to, I think it was Draper twice, like smashed into him and he went off once and teammates burn him, but he had a lot of kick-ins and didn't score great. I think he'll still be fine moving forward, but I like paying up for a Nasai because they're fairly priced. I think they're not like a Whitfield or a Zorko, like where they're real expensive. And I think Sheasel's getting a bit forgotten as well out of those three. I think Sheasel's still solid pick. I don't love the Sydney matchup next week for Sheasel with maybe James Jordan potential tag going there or LDU, but I think Sheasel at some point would be good. Charlie Schwert, Geordie, who to field out of Holland Lindsay, and Ashcroft. So he must be in a great position if you can only field one of the three. But if you had to rank them in terms of order, how are you ranking them for fielding this week?
Well, Lindsay's sort of shown he was gone 94 and 80 the last 2 weeks. So I think he'd be the highest averaging. I think I'd have him first.
Agreed.
And I'd probably have Levi next and Hollands last. I know Hollands probably could bounce back tonight, but you just can't. Like, you got 48 last week. Does have the role, but you might even be able to just loop that tonight if something happens and change. But yeah, Lindsay, Levi, Hollands.
Yeah. I think I've got Hollands ahead of Levi. I just worry with that weather that those marks for him won't be there. And I don't know if he's a high tackler. He hasn't had many tackles so far. There might be a case where he has 5 or 6, but then again, Hollands, I don't have any confidence whatsoever playing him on field. But I think I think Mitch was saying from teams as well. I don't know and I think traders maybe even touched on this last night that they brought in Boyd and they've dropped 2 midfielders or wingers. So I wonder if there's a world where that they put Hollands back onto more of a wing and they see it's not working. I'm still. I think, James, you may have even mentioned this to me when we were messaging each other at some point, but I'm still not going to be shocked if Doherty goes back behind the ball at some point. I think they need someone like him back there. So, I'm still nervous about Hollands. But Lindsay, clearly number one. I think MCG, Gold Coast, good matchup. I think he'll go pretty well.
What do you do if you loop Hollands, he drops to 73? Do you take it or do you put Lindsay on?
I put Lindsay on.
For 73?
Yeah. In these buy rounds, I try and look for bigger scores because at the end of the day, okay, you might score a 73, but your worst score might be a 67. So you lose 6 points, but you might be able to gain more. And I felt like Lindsay could put up another good score this week. But 73 is probably around the marker where I'd go, yeah, I'll take it. I'll take a 74. There you go.
Okay.
I'll say that one. Very, very interesting, though. Sam Watts, hey, lads, what are your thoughts on Hollands to Travalia, putting Lever Ashcroft on field and Perryman to Zorko? And I'll preface this by saying let's assume that these trades are made right before the game and Travalia is not the sub. James, are you happy to go early on Travalia, go Hollands down to him and go Perryman to Zorko?
Nah, I'd want to see a week out of Travalia. We saw it in the preseason. He was sub in both. My memory serves correct.
He came on the last quarter for both games, yeah.
It just feels like, he's Saints 23rd, 24th or 25th player at the moment. So he's going to struggle for...
He's named on the bench, yeah. So you got Collard, Travalia, Garcia, O'Connell, Hall. I don't think Garcia will be sub again. O'Connell's a defender, not going to put him sub. I don't think Maxwell's going to be sub. He's played 2. So it's pretty much Collard or Travalia, and I think Travalia is probably the one that probably gets it.
Yeah, so if he's not sub this week and he holds his spot next week, there's high likelihood I reckon he could go into a sub role, which is just going to stall his cash gen. So I try and find a different rook.
Yeah, if they because it's putting Levi Ashcroft on it's still on the bench, but you can always fix that maybe next week, getting Bice in instead. I'm sure you can do that little shuffle. I'd go get Max Hall if you don't have Max Hall, Sam. Put him on field this week, and I'd still go Sinclair on Asire over Zorko. But if you're keen on Zorko, I'm not going to talk you out of it. I think he's got a good run coming up. So if you want Zorko, go and get him because I think he'll still be good. Max Horsefall, Geordie says, if you had to choose one to trade in, who would it be, Cherry or Marshall? I like this question.
Oh, this is a interesting one. I think Marshall's got a wicked run. He's obviously playing Nank tomorrow. The other thing with Marshall is, isn't there like 5% or 10% people own him? And 60% or something have Cherry. So I mean, yeah, I'll probably go Marshall. I'm looking with my team. I'm looking at a pod like Tom Green, Noah. I just feel like Marshall. I think even in the traders, he was in a top 5 captain option. The probably only slight concern is he had that back and stuff, but he's not highly owned, and I think he's got a pretty good run. So you could try and go against the grain with the rest of the comp.
I'm just looking here. He's got Richmond this week, obviously. Then he goes into Port Adelaide, decent matchup. Then he goes into GOS, decent matchup. Then he's got Bulldogs, great matchup. Then he's got Brisbane, tougher one, but at Marvel though. Then he's got Freo, Carlton, and then round 10 he's got West Coast. So decent run, and obviously Cherry's got a few tougher games. I think I prefer Marshall. I think both will be top 2, but the only risk, I guess, with Marshall is he's had one good game. Is he fully back? He looked great. Is he back? That's the only question I guess I've got. But if you're confident, I wouldn't mind going on to him there. Got a heap of questions flying through here. We'll go off for another 15 or so minutes. Yep, Powell Callahan, we answered it. We said that before. We'd probably go Powell. That question was from David. Zach saying, who's a good option to trade in 600K or under defender? I don't think there's any this week, personally. I would not be going Connor O'Sullivan. I think Colin Jasney's 1 to 2 weeks away, and wet weather. I can't see him scoring any more than a 40 in this weather. So I wouldn't be. Are you in agreement, James? You're not trading anyone in under 600K. You'd be looking for either a different trade, or even if it is going Perryman down to 600, I'd almost rather hold Perryman and trade him next week.
If you had to do it, I'd risk it and go a bias and then bank the cash. Otherwise, I'd look to do another trade.
Yeah, I agree with that. Judas Pewter says McIntosh has made 61K. Is that headband a points magnet? He's been good to start the year. I wouldn't be trading into him now, but if you've got him, you could hold him for another week or two. That's what you're making a little bit of cash. Tom Symes has got this one. Is Tom Powell the main option, or is a Saligo or Berry an option? So Powell I love. Saligo, great player. I think he falls in the same category as your Callahans and your Will Days. Not as good yet as those guys. I think they're still better. I think Saligo's good in his own right, but I think he's still a guy that doesn't rack the marks and tackles up. He's gone big both games. Crows have had big scores and everything like that. So I just don't see it being as consistent moving forward. So I wouldn't look at him. And Berry is a wingman. I know he's got some halfback time, but he's priced over 900K. Petrarca's 8K more. You go Petrarca or you go Tom Powell is cheaper. So for me, Tom Powell is the clear favourite in there. Are you guys in agreement with that?
Yep.
Beautiful. Good. At least I'm not talking shit. Sean, who goes first, Sanders or Garcia, Geordie?
Ooh, interesting.
I think Sean as well. He's ranked pretty highly as well. He's actually one of my head-to-head leagues. I'm annoyed I invited him into this league. I don't want people this high rank against me in leagues. But yeah, Sanders or Garcia.
I wonder who we can go to with Sanders, because he's obviously an extra 200K. Look, I'm holding Garcia because I think Travagia or Collard will be the sub. And I'm hoping that he's playing Richmond. I'm hoping he can do a solid score this week. Now, that might only be a 1 or 2 week play. Sanders, he is probably a trade out, but he's probably not as urgent as like other players. I guess it depends who he can go to.
What's Graham priced at?
Was it six something? 680 odd K. I think there's a quick look.
Is that what, 71?
687. 687.
71, 72 maybe?
Is this Jack Graham?
Yeah.
Yep. Because I don't mind that.
70.
If you
70.
70, okay. I don't mind that pick if you think you can do an 80, maybe an 87 plus average over the next 6 weeks or something, or to the buys. Just because there's so few reliable players up in that line, and he's actually got a bloody good role. There's just a big caveat that he plays for the Eagles and his body is made of glass.
Yeah, exactly. If I had to choose between the two, I know the matchup's there for Garcia, but I still think I'd rather be stuck with Sanders than Garcia. I know there's a difference.
Yeah.
If it doesn't matter with price, I think you're trading Garcia, even though the Richmond matchup's there, because he might be the sub, but even if he's not, he is also a big candidate to be subbed out as well. So that's just my worry. He plays low game time already, and he's cheap enough that you can always bring him back in if he gets like a massive role. But I just something about Garcia for me, even with this Richmond matchup. I traded him last week over a red dot because he was sub, and he's just very, very vesty. Smells vesty. Josh Mack said, had the VC on Rosie, do you reckon captain on McRae or Dawson? McRae for me. McRae number 1, Dawson number 2. And I hope that shows you, Josh, that I'm not just biased to Dawson. But to be fair, I've got him captain and McRae vice captain. So that might be why I'm saying that. But no, captain McRae, number 1 option. he's back and back in a big way. Big Dave time. Hey, lads, Darcy Cameron and Will Day to Briggs and Powell or Marshall and Nevitt? Well, I think we're all in agreement. I think we're going Marshall and Nevitt. I don't think you can trade into Briggs. Are you guys agreeing with that?
Well,
Not
Briggs
yet,
is going
anyway.
to come
Not
down
yet.
heaps in price, isn't he?
Yeah, he had an 8 or whatever.
Way too high, break even.
Yeah, you
So
can't
like,
just,
just
wait on that.
seems counterproductive to trade into that. Like, and you can get Nevitt and Marshall. Like, that's elite.
Yeah, exactly. Ben Hayes, Henderson or Bice and Callahan or Powell? I'm Henderson and Powell for me. I'd rather get the playing rookie this week and Powell over Callahan. Zach saying Bo Allen's not playing this week. Yep. We saw with the that Minnie McGolter said that he's not making his debut this week. So I'm almost glad he's not yet. Just leave it a few weeks. Let Bice come in. Let maybe Sado Hawley get out of the vest, come in for us, and then maybe bring him in like round 8, round 9. And that would be absolutely perfect, I think, for us. Subs for tonight have been announced. So I see the AFL subs and late changes as announced that. So Jordan Boyd and Josh Dolan, that's about 10 minutes ago, they announced that. But make sure you go and follow at AFL subs. Obviously, one of our very own Jordox and Eloise as well, doing great work there. Turn notifications on so you don't miss any late changes or subs. Very, very good source there. Tony Ford, thoughts on Perryman and Hollands to Nasai and Closey gives me 100K to get Marias an upgrade day next week. James, I think we're ticking off Perryman and Nasai. I don't know about you. I don't like the Closey pick. I don't know what you think, but I don't like the Closey pick.
I think it depends on how your team's structured. The only reason that I'm kind of considering it at the moment is because I'm pretty sure I can get him on my bench. And like this is through like by the time it gets to gather round, which is why I'm kind of considering it. And if I can get, it's risky because if he's not the sub this week and he plays really well, you know, he might just avoid the sub for like a month and make you 200 grand. Which would be an unreal result. If that probability of that happening might be like 35%. So you're definitely going against the pack if that's going to happen. But if it does happen, you're just so far ahead of everyone. Like it would be such a good result. So it's risk versus reward. If you want to take a bit of a risk and really get a big leg up. But if it goes wrong, you got a red dot and you know you're not really making anything off it. So it's tough. Like
he's the one, if your team's in a good spot and you don't have many of the like purple dots or red dots, I think you could go to it because worst case is if he sub, you could pivot then and worst case if he plays this week, then sub. There are other rookies there, but he's on the bench. You've got Humphreys, Nevitt, Clark, Bowes, and Closey. I can tell you Humphreys and Nevitt won't be the sub. Well, I can't tell you categorically because we know Geelong just does weird things, but I don't think it'll be one of those two. So it means Clark, Bowes, and Closey. I wouldn't be shocked if it's Bowes because we've seen Bowes sub in the past, but I feel like in a game like this, Bowes could be quite useful. So I think it's Jai Clark because of how well Closey played last week, but it could be Closey as well. So I'd be keeping a very close eye on that.
I do think the sub will be Clark, but you've just got to wait and see.
Yeah, Zach says Closey's job security is worse than being a government employee in the USA. well, there you go. Fast break frenzy. Go Data Rankin or Tom Green, Geordie.
Oh, Tom Green's on there.
A lot of cash.
Geez, he must have a lot of cash. Yeah. Geez, that's a tough one, isn't it? Because I'm bringing in Tom Green.
You already got Rankin? I think
I've already got Rankin. Yeah, I think maybe Rankin's a higher priority. Like he would have gone 110 on the weekend, and he actually went down 1K or something because he got subbed. Like, and he's a top 6. I think you got to go Rankin. Hey.
Yeah, I think he would have gone well. I think he would have gone 110 plus. I think he would have racked up in that last quarter and maybe even kicked a goal or two. So I agree. Phil Davidson or Hall, says Chris Bolton. So I'm assuming, a lot of people don't have like your Wicks or a loophole. I would be going Hall, I think. James, you're in agreement with that? And just guess you can loop Davidson. In worst case, he goes a ton. You can pivot somewhere maybe.
Oh, yeah. Just
because Davidson's got but then again, Davidson's got the ceiling. We've seen.
That's what I like.
Hall's got the better matchup. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what you're after.
You feel like Hall's got to kick 2 or 3 to get his 80, whereas Davidson could have 25 touches and get 100. So, both are probably on the scale of unlikely. But I just feel like,
maybe.
yeah, I've got a feeling Davidson's probably got a better chance of doing his, but I don't think either will actually do overly well. But I'd probably feel Davidson. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not much confidence in that answer.
I guess go Hull with the better matchup, but it's pretty close. I think Davidson could definitely go well. Zach says Phil Davidson or Garcia. I don't know about you, Geordie. You've probably got to play Garcia, right? But if you play Davidson, he's not the sub. You then can't pivot off of Garcia if he's named the sub tomorrow. Is that playing in your mind at all? If you had to pick one, would you just go Davidson to lock him in tonight, or would you just back in Garcia?
Yeah, it's a fair point. I've currently got Davidson with the E, and I've got Garcia F6. It's a product. You are right. I don't know. I just feel like Garcia is not going to be sub with Travail gear in. But,
I don't think he will be either. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sort of backing that in. But you're right. I mean, if Davidson goes nuts, I've still got the E on him, and I can maybe try and figure something out. But
bring him on
if it's worth that. But
actually, no. To be fair, people are saying like what you could do. I think the easy option is if Davidson goes well, bring in Corey Warner. He's 380k negative break even. You could do that. Worst case if he goes a ton, but if he doesn't, then you've got Garcia. So you've got the pivot option. You could always loop Davidson and see what happens.
I feel like in the community, it's like because we're so used to looping now, people don't want to take the first rookie on the Thursday or the Friday night. But I still think people you still got to just back in who you think's going to score more. Like do a bit of a breakdown. Like I actually think Davidson's going to score more than Garcia. So if it was my team, I would just field Davidson. And, the likelihood neither of them are going to count to my best 18 anyway. But that's just how I would play it.
You want the chance at the ton that Davidson could put up.
And it's one player, like in a whole season. Like it's not that big a deal, I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah. If you're looping Davidson and Stone, what would you take from Davidson? 60, 70?
Davidson,
I don't think Stone
I'd take
50. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd take 51. See you later.
I don't think Stone's gone over 50.
Neither do I.
Yeah. Mitch Tobin's got this one. James, I'll go back to you for this one as well. So he's got Hollands out and Dale in, or Day out and Nasir in. So you're going Day to Nasir or Hollands to Dale. With Day out, he's got 177k in the bank as well.
Yeah, I think we've kind of touched on this before.
Is it different with Dale? Because he's, probably the cheapest of the cheaper guys. But I don't mind having 177k in the bank.
Dale's what? Price 98, is he? 97, 98?
Yes, 959. 959. That's probably high 90s.
98. Yeah.
So
and he's runs very up.
Sorry, you go.
I was just going to say, his runs very up and down. They got Carlton tonight. Whether he has any sort of attention. Freo, good. Brisbane, not good. St Kilda, good. Giants, Port, both not good. Then Gold Coast is good on paper, but it's at TIO. So it's, I don't know. I'd rather go get Nasir and I'd have the little bit of extra cash in the bank. Hope that Hollands goes well. And if he doesn't, Hollands is your easy pathway to maybe a Marias, and you've got cash then put on a red dot rookie and get up to someone. So, yeah, I'll be doing that one. And we'll go two more questions. So TGB Hammer Geordie, Henderson or Hall, cheaper rookie, or go Hall as the forward?
That's a tough one. I've got both. You get the forward status with, you do. Yeah, you do get that. I just think that Henderson, I know people are like, oh, what's his job security? But I think he's actually got it locked in. Like there was talk about him being that new A and B, and he's like going to play that A and B role. And like we've seen over the last 3 weeks now, 2 weeks, he hasn't been sub. He's been on the field. He will actually get forward status at round 6. I like both. I feel like Henderson might have a bit more job security than Hall.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably a bit of job security. Because the thing is, they're not going to be playing, I think, 25, Henderson, 25, 26?
Yeah, mature age. Yeah.
Mature age. They're not going to be playing him in the team this early. They weren't going to be playing him this early in the team if he wasn't in their best 22, I don't think. So he's probably got better job security. I do like the mid-forward split, though, of that. But then again, if that 30K again, if you think that's going to help you a bit next week, you go the cheaper guy. But probably prefer hold the flexibility and the Richard matchup. But as you say, a few St Kilda guys come back as well. Whether he's there in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I'm not sure. Whereas I think Henderson will probably still be there. Final question here as well. Actually, there's one from the Bison I'll quickly touch on as well. But Tom Oz1 has got super chat. Thanks very much, mate. Perryman to Nasiah or Sanders to Rankin doing the other next week. Oh, I like this one. So, James, where are you sitting here? Is it Perryman to Nasiah because Rankin won't get away from you?
No, for me, it's Perry to Nasiah because...
That's what I said, didn't I? Did I say that? Oh,
no,
sorry.
For a different reason, though.
Yeah.
Because Sanders is closer to his line, top of his line, than what Perryman is.
Yep, agreed. But there's 2 reasons. There you go. You get a playing
on
player
bye.
this week from Sanders. Rankin won't get away from you. And Perriman's on bye and not good. And you get Nasiah in the gravy matchup. And as you say, Sanders is close. So plenty of reasons to be going for the first trade there. And I'll just touch on this one from the Bison. Hey, guys, should I go Camperelli to Ashcroft or Sam Taylor to Jake Bowie? It's Camperelli to Ashcroft. You're getting rid of a purple dot. Who knows if he comes back in. You get Levi Ashcroft in. Great trade. Bowie, I'm not confident in. And tell you what, Sam Taylor, the next 3 weeks, I don't want him in my team any longer than what I need to. But the next 3 weeks on paper, I'm talking myself into he's actually not a bad run. Hawthorn, not a tall forward line, probably plays the extra tall, takes some intercepts. West Coast next week could just bomb it to Sam Taylor time. And St Kilda's a great matchup. But I'm getting rid of Sam Taylor ideally next week if I can. So, but is Camberley to Ashcroft for me.
You got to get Ashcroft.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other reason on that as well. And then John Nichols says Levi Ashcroft or Henderson. It's still Levi Ashcroft, I think. I think you're still getting him. You need him and Lindsay, I think. So, cool. Alrighty. We'll wrap it up there because I've got to jump over onto the watch long in about 12 or so minutes. So if anyone does want more questions answered, I'll be live for about, 20 minutes before the game starts. Actually, no, it'll be about more close to 25. So head over there, get your questions in, and I can answer all those for you. But James, mate, thanks for jumping on once again, mate. For the people that missed it, what are you looking at with your trades and your captain and vice captain?
Vice captain McRae, captaincy Dawson. Trades still yet to be decided, but Perryman to a Sinclair and a Camperelli down to a Closey for now.
Yeah, beautiful. Love, mate. Where can the people find you as well?
Just at Shuckers Fantasy on Twitter.
Yeah. Beautiful. Give the great man a follow. Geordie, mate, what are your trades and captain looking like? Because unfortunately, Rosie didn't get it done for you last night.
Yeah, I'm going McRae. C. I'm doing Hollands to Hall, and I'm doing Will Day to Tom Green. But I might change that to Noah Anderson. I've got time, and I'll think about it. But yeah, either Tom Green or Noah Anderson. We'll see.
Mate, love it. Bit of a pod. And where can the people find you?
Just Jordan DeSena on X. A couple other podcasts as well. Keeper League. If anyone does draft stuff, guest on that as well. So yeah. Hopefully, do draft stuff, but yeah, just on X, Jordan DeSena.
Beautiful. Go and give the man a follow. And then you can find me at BAILSDT and us at AFL Fantasy Fans. I'm going McRae VC into Jordan Dawson. And my trades, I've got Will Day to Isaac Rankin, putting Sanders into the midfield, giving me the flexibility to trade him. And then I've gone Perryman. I've got Nasiah sitting there now. It has been Sinclair for a bit. It's been Nasiah, been Sinclair. So it's been both. I think that 12K, though, is actually going to be the difference between me getting the rookie. So I think that's got to be the tipping factor for me going Nasiah there anyway. And also, James thinks Sinclair's bad pick and Nasiah's a good pick. So I'll go with that as well. So, but beautiful. Good luck, everyone, this week. Hope everyone goes well. Hopefully, we have a good round and we're all pretty cheery on Sunday. Or it could just be another therapy session for us on Sunday night, reviewing the round. So who knows? I think pretty sure at this stage we've got the great man DC jumping on with us to review the round. So it should be good fun. Hopefully chatting a lot of positivity with the round. But good luck, everyone. Enjoy the footy. Enjoy the weekend. Hopefully see you legends in the watch long. But if not, got another one tomorrow night as well. And then we've got our our post-round review Sunday night. That will be live after the final games. That'll be 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Perth time for that one. So make sure you guys tune in there. So thanks, everyone. Have a good weekend. We'll catch you guys then. See ya.